Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time zone you happen to be in. Welcome to Leaders Worldwide. I am the Sergeant at Arms, Isaac Ford, and the club mission. We provide a positive and supportive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Core values: integrity, service, respect, and I always forget this last one. So, but anyway, that is our core values. And now at this time, I would like to introduce our president, Tala bin Hamid. Tala, take the podium.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day and Sergeant at Arms. Welcome to this 116th meeting of Leaders Worldwide Toastmasters Club. And before we move forward, cast your minds to this figure, 116. Every week for 116 weeks, this club has been meeting. As far as I know, there have been no off weeks except for the ones around the winter holidays. And we've had meetings in 2 different time zones, which might be very good for the members spread around the world, but nothing less than a nightmare for the executive committee. So please spare a thought for the executive committee, which has been managing this club across 2 time zones, which, by the way, is one of the very few clubs that I know of that have this special feature. So without further ado, first, let me introduce our guests. We have our guest timer, Mario Spurkowski, and apologies if I butchered your name. I have a fondness for trying different names and failing miserably, so feel free to correct me.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
All right,
Well.
Mario, yes. Don't worry about my surname. Mario will suffice. Mario or Mario, whichever floats your boat. That's correct.
All right. So, Mario, where do you come from? How did you learn about this club?
Official Facebook Toastmaster Facebook group, and there was a post, and I'm like, okay, I'm interested, so I joined. Eventbrite, or was it? I think it was, yeah.
All right.
Central,
all right.
Otherwise Central Europe, Slovenia here, District 109, Region 10.
All right. All right. So kudos to our public relations team. They have brought in another guest and no less than a timer. Congratulations. Next, we have Sonia Pons. Would you like to introduce yourself? Yes, Sonia.
Hi, family. My name is Sonia Pons. I'm stationed in Washington, D.C. in the United States, but I'm a member of multiple Toastmasters clubs. I guess in North America, I should say. But I am here. I found out about you guys through Cynthia, and it's been a fantastic opportunity to speak out with you. So thanks.
If you have any questions, there's lots of documentation online. So
all right. All right. Welcome to our club.
Fundamentals of Toastmasters. You don't see this on Toastmasters, but this is how I summarize it. It's about confidence and competence.
Sorry about that. Here we go.
No worries at all. Next, we have guest AB. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Marie Buonacore. My initials are AB. And that was just quicker, so I'll change that to make it more clear. But yeah. I'm a member of Toastmasters up here in Northern California at Mare Island Toastmasters, and I'm interested in the TEDx partnership that y'all are forming. I was invited by Cynthia Stott, and Rosalind Kahn, I believe, was also a member of this club, and we're good friends. So I'm excited to be here today, learn more about what you're about. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Great to have you. Great to have you. Yes, Cynthia and Rosalind are two of the stalwarts of our club. Next, we have guest Luain Tabili. Please feel free to correct my pronunciation and introduce yourself. And we have met so many times. So nice to see you.
Yeah, very good morning to everyone. It's 3 a.m. here in Malaysia. And
Wow.
3 a.m. Tuesday, yeah. And I'm here as a guest, and I really want to get familiar myself with how speakers from other countries, and I really want to learn how your deliver your speech, and yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and great to have you as always. You came to my other clubs as well, and your dedication is commendable. I mean, 3 a.m. That is absolutely fantastic. We are honored to have Toastmasters like you in our community. So I believe, yes, we have another guest, Ryan Roper, if that's correct. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Yes, I'm sorry. May I just interrupt you 1 second? Either Isaac or
yeah, you should have it now.
Okay.
Nathan.
Thank you.
Yes, guest Ryan Roper, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. For me, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm here in Trinidad and Tobago. I joined this club before. I was invited by Cynthia as well. I am the VP of Education for a club here in Trinidad called Talk for So, District 81. And I'm interested in the TEDx forum as well. But also I'm interested in joining this club as my second club also. So working with Cynthia to do that.
All right, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful privilege to have you. And I believe we have gone through all the guests. So with that, please welcome someone who is very fond of walking around the block. And he does it all the time. And while he's doing it, he inspires everyone around him. Not only in the manner of speaking, but in the manner of walking. Everyone, please put your hands together for our Toastmaster of the day and our Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Isaac Ford.
Great, thank you for that, Tala. And as the Toastmaster of the day, we do have a theme, which is Black History Month. So actually, I would like to start with a few tidbits of Black history. So let me do that. The touch-tone phone was invented by Shirley Ann Jackson. Jackson was the first American woman to earn a doctorate in nuclear physics at MIT, and experiments paved the way for the fiber optics cable, caller ID, portable fax, and touch-tone. So she's one Black American who maybe you have not heard about. So throughout this session, I will be introducing different Black Americans that have made contributions to this country. So now, moving on, I would like to turn this program over to the GE, who is actually a guest and who is filling in at the last minute. I really appreciate you, Murtaza. So our GE, Murtaza, would you take the podium?
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day, Isaac. So as General Evaluator and as grammarian, I have two jobs. So I'll start off with the first job, since I am Also, I've also been assigned as the GE, which is great. I'm really looking up to this wonderful meeting, and I am excited and up for the challenge. So as a general evaluator, as happens with different parts of the globe, whether you're in Trinidad, Pakistan, or in the States, people from different parts of the States, what happens is that I will basically be looking at this meeting like an owl. Yes, you heard that right. I will be looking and observing everything pretty much. I have a lot on my plate, but I am up for the challenge. I'm excited. What I'll be doing is I'll be looking at the points where the meeting as a whole, the role takers included, the guests were great, everything. I'll be looking at those things and I'll think that what are the positives? Where did this meeting go right? And also, perhaps where can this meeting have been slightly better? What are the areas of improvement? Because Toastmasters is about constant improvement. That is the name of the game. No matter which part of the globe or where you're from, this is universal when it comes to Toastmasters. So that will be that. And I'd like to hand over back again to our enthusiastic Toastmaster today, who's going to offer a new perspective on the theme, I believe. So over to you,
Yes,
Team
thank you.
Isaac.
Thank you for that. Okay, let me actually give you one more tidbit. This is about something that we all hopefully have eaten before, and that's the potato chip. George Speck, AKA George Kroom. George Speck was an American chef. He, a hunter and guide who was noted for his culinary skills at a Moon's Lake house in New York. Local legend says that in the summer of 1853, his invention of the potato chip was the result of a return dinner. After an unhappy customer returned their potatoes to the chef saying that they were too thick, Speck then sliced a potato thin, deep fried it, and then returned them to the customer. These chips soon became an instant hit and quickly became one of the world's biggest snacks. So now you have it as far as the potato chips. So now, at this stage of the show, I would like to introduce our first evaluator, who will be evaluating Tala bin Hamid's speech. Kathleen, I know I turned this over to you at the last minute, so would you take the podium to introduce Tala?
Be delighted, Isaac. I have the honor of trying to offer DTM4 Supreme Excellence Talha bin Hamid an evaluation. And he's in the innovative planning path, and he's doing in level 1, he's doing evaluation and feedback number 1. So he's going to present a speech on any topic and receive feedback that he might want to incorporate into his next version, his next iteration of the subject of the perfect bicycle. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Oh, and it's 5 to 7 minutes.
Great, thank you for that. Okay, Tala bin Hamid, the perfect bicycle. The perfect bicycle, Tala bin Hamid.
Thank you so much. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
All right. How many of you like to ride a bike? Raise of hands, please. All right. I love to ride a bike. My childhood was all about bicycle riding. What sweet memories. Then in January 2019, we went to Vietnam for our district officers training. And they had a whole package of sightseeing, which included riding a bicycle for a few kilometers. My fellow district leaders who were with me took one look at the bicycles and refused. They did not know how to ride a bicycle. Lucky me, I did. And when I climbed the bicycle, started pedaling, just like magic, the 40 years and the 80 kilos between my present and past dissolved. It was a magic bicycle. It was perfectly balanced. It had perfectly weighted tires, and it ran like a dream, so much so that I did not want to stop riding. Alas, it came to an end, but it gave me some food for thought. I resolved that when I got home, I would buy a bicycle and teach my son to ride a bicycle and also start riding myself. A few months ago, this dream became a reality. I went out and bought a bicycle. What I did not count on, ladies and gentlemen, was that while there are 80 kilos and 40 years between my present and past, there's also a tale of two cities. In my childhood, I rode my bicycle in our very quiet suburban neighborhoods. Empty roads, no one in sight, no traffic. And it was the 80s. Fewer people had cars back then. Today, in my home city of Karachi, which is one of the top 10 cities in the world in terms of population, imagine riding a bicycle in a city which does not have any infrastructure for bicycles. In fact, it does not recognize bicycles as a valid mode of transport. The distances are so great. When I merrily rode out and brought the bicycle on the road, I felt like Little Red Riding Hood, discovering that her grandma was actually a bear. Everything, including cars, trucks, buses, even motorcycle riders, seemed like monsters coming right at me. Every turn, every break was a gamble on my very life. And that got me thinking. I thought, I cannot be the only one wanting to ride a bike in this concrete jungle. So what can I do to improve the situation? I cannot change the roads. I cannot change the traffic. What I could change was the bicycle itself. So I thought that first I would add a horn, a front headlight, and a tail light. With that added, newly confident, I took the bicycle back out on the road, and this time it was much better. But it turned out that the SUVs and the buses in front of me somehow could not hear the teeny tiny horn that my bike had. And to tell you the truth, after a few kilometers, my backside started hurting like hell. Because look at me and imagine me sitting on a bicycle seat. I pity the seat, but my backside hurt even more. So I thought that a car seat would do wonders for my comfort. So I added a car seat. And I kept riding, and kept on thinking of things to add. I discovered that after a while, the bugs hitting my face became too much. So I added a glass shield in front. Then I discovered that when I attempted to make a turn, I risked falling down. And so I thought maybe 2 more wheels would be just the trick. So now my bike had headlights, taillights, a windshield, a car seat, and 2 extra wheels. And then I thought, why stop there? Why not add a tiny engine to the bike? Because one can get tired riding a bicycle, pedaling it. So for those times, I added an engine. After a while, I thought of another innovation. Back view mirrors. They are essential for any vehicle, especially something like a bicycle. One has to be aware of what's creeping up from behind you. So back view mirrors were added. So now, ladies and gentlemen, my bike had, just to recap, headlights, taillights, a windshield, back view mirrors, a horn, 4 wheels, and a car seat. What it had become, I leave to your imagination. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Great, thank you for that speech, Tala. So at this point, would the timer put 1 minute on the clock for the evaluator? And if you have any evaluations, please send it to Tala. Great, thank you for that timer. Our next speaker happens to be the Toastmaster of the Day, me. So the title of the speech is, I Can Do It. Actually, you can do it. So you can do it. I was 25 years old and I couldn't get out of bed. Had to roll out of bed because my back and body was always in pain. So one morning, my wife said, honey, would you come with me to Weight Watchers? Because I need to lose a little weight and I would like you as moral support. Now thinking, JoJo was a singer. She had eyes like Diana Ross and a body like Tina Turner. So thinking, you really don't need to lose any weight. But I said, sure, I'll come along for moral support. So when we got to Weight Watchers, this little blonde drill sergeant named Shard said, welcome to Weight Watchers. And the first thing that I need you to do is weigh yourself. Who wants to go first? I'll go first because obviously I don't need to lose any weight. JoJo's eyes told me everything I needed to know. She tricked me. Now, the first thing that they tell you to do, Shar said, I'm going to need you to do 3 things in order to lose weight. You're going to need to keep a food journal. You're going to need to change your diet and exercise. Now I'm thinking, changing my diet, because Weight Watchers was right next to the hometown buffet. But I decided, sure. So about a week later, after I joined Toastmasters, I was driving home and oh, all of a sudden, I had this pain in my chest. It felt like I was having a heart attack. Soon, it kind of calmed down. And when I finally drove into my driveway, there was Mrs. Allen walking by my house. Now, Mrs. Allen was in her 50s, but she looked 30. You would see her all over the neighborhood. Everywhere I go, you would see her walking. She inspired me to start walking. Now, let me give you a description. Miss Allen would remind you of a Venus Williams. She was athletic, energetic, and youthful. She inspired me to start walking. I thought, if she can do it, I can do it. So I started walking. At first, I could only walk about 10 minutes before I just was out of breath. Soon, I got up to 15 minutes. And before long, I was walking. I was getting up early before I went to work to go walking. Even when I got to work on my lunch break, I would walk all over. I would just be out there walking. And hometown buffet, but I kept trucking. Eventually, I started feeling a lot better. The pain in my back went away. So fast forward to today. I'm retired. And my next birthday, I will be 70. And all the weight that I've lost, I've managed to keep it out over these 40 years. And because I'm a walker, I would walk all through my neighborhood every day. And eventually, you know it, I got pulled over by the police. The officer said, "You're wondering why I stopped you." Well, I stopped you. Well, actually, I was thinking, why did he stop me? Because I didn't jaywalk. I wasn't walking on the wrong side of the road. So he said, the reason that I stopped you is because I see you out here walking every day, and I have lost 10 pounds. Because if you can do it, I can do it. So if you want to lose weight, start walking. If you want to have less back aches and body pains, start walking. And if you just want to feel healthy and youthful, start walking. I never did get a chance to meet Mrs. Allen personally, but she inspired me to start walking, and I hope that this talk has inspired you to start walking. So now at this point, please take 1 minute to evaluate my speech and give me any suggestions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Toastmaster. And may I pop in with my pocket speech as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. And how about if I give you a formal evaluation, or shall we do round robins?
Round robin will be great.
Okay. All righty. Oops, sorry, I'm so lame at spotlighting.
I'll do it for you. I got it.
I did it. I finally got the point.
Okay. Okay, Kathleen.
All righty. Would you be so kind as to spotlight me?
You got it.
All righty. This is called Earth Changes Its Clothes. Have you been hearing about the 6th mass extinction and wondering if it's just a rumor? Has it been kind of bothering you at the back of your mind? Well, I've collected the evidence and got to say that just the evidence would make a terrible speech, because a speech is about lifting life. It's about finding where to go forward, how to grow. And if I were to give you just the facts, it would be a total leaden bummer of a speech. So instead, I want to talk to you about how we got here and what we can do about it. Mass extinction, what does that mean? It's when more than 75% of fish, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, insects, birds, the gross animals, or 75% of species die out in a short period, geologically speaking. In 3.5 billion years of life on Earth, we've had 5, and most have had to do with a young, changing, geologically turbulent planet. Well, we're in our 6th. In the 5th, the most recent is when an asteroid extinguished the dinosaurs and made room for us mammals. And then the Earth sprouted this remarkable species that has become self-aware, creative, articulate, ambitious, and now this gorgeous, passionate monster has taken over the world. The animal knows, it's said, but the human knows they know. And now we have a great opportunity to really wake up and engage with our fullest capacities. Because you see, in just the past 50 years, we've lost 70% of the wild animals in the world, the fish, the birds, the amphibians. We've lost 70% in 50 years. And those numbers had been decimated from the pre-industrial era and on back for 500 years. So that's right. We can see the mass extinction in human time. In 1970, human population was about 3.7 billion. Now we're 8 billion because we ramped up our consumption. Humans took over the world. We took over the environment. We eradicated all the life that got in our way. How did it happen? Because Earth's darling children forgot where we come from. We've cleaved off from the vast intelligence of life that created us, and we bored down into our little concerns, objectifying the life around us as stuff to use, resources to exploit. And now we're reaching out to new planets to mine them. Well, that's very clever. I'm impressed. I'm astonished. And there's a little something I think we're forgetting. Because if you look at the happiness, the mental and spiritual health around the world, it has not increased. It's actually decreased. measurements have actually decreased from the 1970s. So what can we do about this? Well, I think of a beautiful little poem from Rabindranath Tagore. I slept and dreamt life was joy. I awoke and saw life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy. If we just turn our attention around to our interior intelligence, our heart intelligence recognizes the sentience of the life around us. That is what makes us connected to our world. And it is the missing reward we try to replace with stuff. Speaking of service, there's a famous entomologist named Doug Tallamy at the University of Delaware who shows how we can kickstart the insect economy if we just get to it. If we look up what plants feed the native, what native plants feed the native insects that feed the native birds, etc., and just plant them in our own backyards. Life is incredibly resilient if we give it a chance. Now, that one act will not do it. It will be nothing, but it can wake the human spirit to connect and serve the larger context. It starts the engine of service. What I'm calling service is an instinct. It is a joyful life force that counteracts the unhelpful effect of what we call greed. Whereas greed seizes at a cost to the larger context, service nourishes oneself. And while nourishing oneself, we nourish the larger context. That's just a start, but it does remind me of what Rabindranath Tagore says, I acted and behold, service was joy. Mr. Toastmaster.
Great, thank you for that, Kathleen. So timer, would you give us 1 minute on the clock to give your evaluations and notes for Kathleen? Great, thank you for that, Mr. Toastmaster. I have a question for you. Have you ever used a microphone? Then you need to thank James E. West and Gerhard Sessler. They developed the electroacoustic transcender electric microphone in the 1960s. Their concept was so good that 90% of microphones used today follow the original design. Other Black inventors made forays into the audio-visual ways, the world also. Skype, Magic Jack, Vonage, and other internet-based audios, video, and text communication applications would not be around if it was not for the voice-over technology invented by Dr. Miriam Crocs, an African-American PhD holder and quantitative analyst from the University of Southern California. These are just a few inventions that maybe you haven't heard of that were invented by Black Americans.
Wow.
Yeah. So at this point, I would like to take a 5-minute break and then restart for our second half of Toastmasters. So timer, would you give us 5 minutes on the clock?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me. So Mario, can you give us 5 minutes on the clock starting now? For a
Gotcha.
break?
Sorry for logging out.
Great. Thank you for that, Mr. Timer. Next, we're going to move on to, well, let me see. Before I go to that, I got a question, and I don't know if any of you can answer it, but the question is, who was the first Black to run for president? Tala.
Michael Dukakis.
No. Any other guess?
Shirley Chisholm.
Right on the money. Yes. Born in 1924, Shirley Chisholm was many things. She was a nurse, school teacher, author, and the first Black congresswoman. And in 1972, perhaps the most impressive, the first Black mayor, a major party candidate to run for president of the United States. Although she had to fight to be included in the primary debates on what would have been Chisholm's 95th birthday today, we remember her legacy of the status for fighting the status quo. And one of her quotes was, "If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair." Those are a few of the contributions of Black Americans. Now I would like to turn the meeting over to our table topics mistress, Kathleen Peel.
Well, I would like to call on Ryan Roper. Ryan, would you like to answer a question? Good. I don't hear would you speak and let me see if I can hear you? Don't hear you. You're unmuted. Is your microphone plugged in or something? That sometimes it gets unplugged. Ah, there we are. No.
How about
All
now?
right. Oh, yes, there you are.
Okay. Yeah, I have too many systems. Yeah. Okay. All right, I've got it.
Good. Okay. Ryan Roper, how does Toastmaster connect your spark of genius to the world? What is your spark of genius? Or what are some of your sparks of genius? And how does Toastmasters, this is just a 1.5 to 2 minute.
Thank you very much for that question, Toastmaster Catherine. My spark to the world is leaving a legacy of change in the energy industry. So just as Toastmaster Catherine talked about earlier in this meeting, we, the humans on Earth, are driving ourselves to extinction, and by extension, the planet, because of our quest for comfort using fossil fuels. My goal is to help to communicate to the world that there is a better way, and that is by using renewable energy. How Toastmasters helps me to do that is by helping me to communicate flawlessly using my expertise in the energy space to try to help others realize, just as Catherine did earlier today, to realize that we can work towards new innovations, towards trying to utilize less as a population and try to utilize the resources that we have at our disposal more optimally. So it behooves all of us, and I hope that it is within the communication that I have done today and what you've heard from Catherine, it helps to move the dial a bit with all of us in this meeting today to try to reduce our carbon footprints, to try to work together, to try to innovate, and try to be better to our planet as we try to exist here peacefully as we move along. So thank you very, very much for that question, Catherine, and thank you, fellow Toastmasters.
And thank you for sharing your gifts. Oh my goodness, that's thrilling, Brian. And my next question is, I'm looking for the perspective of Murtaza Ahad. Are you available to answer a question, Murtaza? Perhaps not. We can ask for
I'm available. I'm just pressing the audio like for the mute button. I don't know. It was just my phone kept flipping. So you could say bad timing, but yes, I'm all ears for the question.
Oh, good, good. Thank you. Well, you know, this is going to be the question of the day. We're going to have one question for the guests, and that is, tell us about your sparks of genius and how Toastmasters is helping you share those sparks with the world.
Thank you very much for this very thought-provoking question, Ms. Table Topic Master Kathleen. Genius. What is genius? That is the question. I think that is a question that perhaps many actual geniuses, people who are considered widely to be considered geniuses, they've asked themselves, am I a genius? What is a genius? For me, if I look back to my childhood, I was a guy who was very, very, very outgoing and expressive. I mean, I was not bashful at all, but it had its downsides. As I grew older, I realized, wait a second, I think the way that I'm living my life, I don't think that is the perfect way. Maybe I think I need to take things easy, a bit easy. I remember I used to be very good, really good at mimicking people, making fun of people by mimicking them. And I realized that at Toastmasters, this actually brings a new perspective. You know how? Because before it was done more unconsciously. I was not aware, perhaps, what was going on. But now, what happens is that I can consciously look at people, which I am having to do today, to evaluate and to understand that person's points of views, and so on. I had a knack for mimicry. I had a knack to talk to people. But now I also know another thing, and Toastmasters has bought me the gift of listening. It's not only about giving and, you know, enforcing your will on the world sometimes. Sometimes what you have to do is you have to lay back and allow yourself to see things from a new perspective and listen to others. Because if you listen to others, you will be able to offer value to others. And that, I believe, is a form of genius. Over to you, Stable Topic Master.
So true, isn't it, Murtaza? I know what you're talking about. I've had to review my assumptions and have increased my self-awareness about how I behave in the world. One of the gifts. And our last one, let's call on Sonia for her perspective. Sonia, would you be able to? Good. Hi.
Hi.
So the spark of genius, let's call it your unique gift of understanding or your passions how does Toastmasters help you bring your best to the world?
Thank you for that amazing question. I believe that my purpose on this world is to be of service to others in terms of counseling. I have my graduate license in counseling and working on my PhD in counseling. And what Toastmasters has taught me is the art of listening. We call it active listening. You can learn that in the space of student graduate counseling, to be in congruency with your client, listening to them, being present. But in a Toastmasters meeting, you are constantly being present, because you may be called on to be an evaluator. You may be called on to be a table topics master, but most importantly, you will be called on eventually to be an evaluator. And in order to really truly give an effective evaluation, you need to listen, just not listen for the words, but look at the body language and assess that, but also look and see what's not being said. Toastmasters is a proving ground from anyone who is in a helping professional, because it trains you to hear with your ears, but also with your eyes. Because sometimes what is being said is not necessarily communicated verbally. Toastmasters gives us that space, especially in this era of the pandemic where we're in Zoom. We are constantly assessing body language. So I'm very appreciative to my Toastmaster experience, because I believe it will enhance me being a helping professional. Thank you for the question.
Fantastic, fantastic. Listening and helping. What are you doing when you're helping? You're helping to heal and grow. That is part of the nourishment that we come to the table at Toastmasters for. How about Mario? Mario, are you able to do 10 things at once?
No,
Okay.
he can't.
All righty. Okay. Liam, are you able?
Yeah, I would love to.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, so Liam, tell us about what matters to you, what sparks you, what you're brilliant at, and how Toastmasters helps you to share it with your world.
Okay, once again, a very good morning to everyone. Greetings from Malaysia. Okay, I consider myself as a person, but fortunately, I became a teacher, and I've learned how to speak in front of my students and also to my colleagues. But then talking to other people from other countries, especially in the Toastmasters Club, and speaking in a table topic is one of my fears, because I couldn't talk spontaneously about certain topics. So that's really my problems. But then after joining this Toastmasters Zoom meeting, I think less than 10 times now with few clubs, I feel that I'm no longer an introvert person. So that's what the Toastmasters do to me, to transform myself. So this is my personal perspective about Toastmasters. So you helped me a lot. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Liam. And congratulations. You're, I believe, the one person who spontaneously used the word perspective. I'm not sure, because I'm not that observant. And isn't that interesting how the multitude of perspectives came together into a picture of progressive, forward, healing, growing, understanding together. So we can thank the Toastmasters platform for that. Now I turn the lectern over to, is it to the general evaluator?
Yes, you can, but I'd like to give one more tidbit
Oh,
about
goody.
Black history.
Yes.
And this involves The Traffic Light by Garrett Morgan. Morgan was an extremely accomplished inventor and is most notable for his invention of the gas mask in 1912 and the three-light traffic system in 1922. After watching firefighters struggle in smoke, Morgan designed a device that used a wet sponge to filter out smoke and cool the air. It also featured a breathing tube that dangled near the floor, which took advantage of the clean air near the ground as the smoke would rise. Morgan witnessed a serious traffic accident that inspired him to update the way traffic lights alerted drivers the light was going to turn red. The two-light system only featured a red and green light, while Morgan filed a patent for the yellow warning light in 1922. His inventions are still used to this day and has helped save countless lives. Now, at this point, one of the most important parts of a Toastmaster meeting is the evaluations. And today we have the general evaluator, who is going to be Martaza. Martaza, would you please introduce yourself and tell us your role for tonight?
Don't sweat it, Isaac. Thanks for giving me the virtual floor. Our Toastmaster today. So as the general evaluator, my job now is to first call upon the evaluators of our wonderful prepared speeches. And if I copy correctly, I believe we have one evaluator who is none other than Kathleen for our speaker, Talha Hamid. Is that correct? Toastmaster of the day, Isaac. All right. Yeah. Thanks for that. So without further ado, let's give a round of applause for our evaluator, Kathleen.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, guests, for participating and fertilizing and cross-fertilizing this meeting. It's really fun to get surprise gifts like this. Talha, another funny story. You're so wonderful at humor. I've come to expect to have a sweet dessert for Talha's speeches. And there's always some bigger perspective to enjoy and some tender compassion. And I got them today, got them tonight. And I loved in particular so many little quotes. 40 years and 80 kilos between then and now is very, very cute. The self-deprecation is a wonderful humor device and works every time. And I loved your different takes on the perfect bicycle and how it's a figment of your imagination, and then it has excellent filling of the tires, and then it's not the perfect bicycle and it turns to this and that and the other. I also loved going with you into your pursuits, going, what do I want here? Oh, I'm going into, first I'm teaching my son to ride bike, and then I'm going into the city and I'm going into traffic, and I'm following, I'm with Talha and his poor little bicycle seat and his derriere, his even more to be pitied derriere on the bicycle seat. So to give you the maybe how to make this stronger, even stronger, is I would look at, it's all about organization. What I would do is organize, and I would look at the end and look for the takeaway. And where am I? Oh, I've started out on a bicycle. I've intended to go this way, and I've been intended to, you might say, move through life in a new way. And here I am back in my car. And what is the takeaway, the anchor takeaway point? And then go back from there so that I have time to fit my puzzle pieces in piece by piece. And that would give me more of attention to humor timing. You're wonderful at humor. And one of the skills that a humorist can use is timing. And that's where, Talha, you could really do some exercise so that you're fast here, and then you slow down, you're ready for the punchline, then you give the punchline, and that sort of thing, so that you're just aware of your delivery is a little bit like music, and also you're being elastic with the speakers, with the audience's attention, so that it snaps back and forth. Oh, I get his joke now. And so more power to you, Talha. Back to you, Mortaza.
Let's give a round of applause, shall we, once again, for this wonderful evaluation. Very comprehensive, very constructive, thoughtful, fantastic. It definitely added a new perspective to Talha, I believe. And he's gonna go home. He is home, but he's gonna go home right over here and then reflect on what can be improved and the great parts. So without further ado, now we're gonna be moving on to a very important role taker who has been keeping note of something which is considered to be invaluable. And that is just not a singular perspective. I think this is a universal perspective. And that person is none other than our timer for tonight's meeting, wherever you're from. Without further ado, I'd like to call upon the timer of the meeting. He's going to give us the time for the prepared speeches, the evaluations, of course, the table topics. So Mario, the floor is yours, and let's give him a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. I was your last minute. Well, I guess I volunteered, so I wouldn't say it was last minute timer. Overall, all the speeches were within time. I don't want to bore you with the details. All table topics and speeches were within time. And yeah, in the evaluation, the second one was like by the 10 seconds off, 3:10, but otherwise the rest were okay. I mean, if you want the specific times, like Mortaza had 2:25, first speaker on table topics had 1:58, third speaker Sonia had 1:28, fourth was 1:37. That's table topics. First speaker was 7:17, second prepared speeches speaker 6:11, and third was 7:30 on the mark. So they were within the time limit.
Thank you.
I make it short and sweet. Short and sweet.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mario.
Anything else from my side, or is that it?
Oh, thank you for that, Mario. I think this smartphone is a wonderful invention, and sometimes the tabs are a challenge. But yeah, thanks for that report, Mario. Jokes apart. You know? Now, let's go on to the grammarian's report. Now, I have a dual role, and I'm pleased to serve as a grammarian as well for this wonderful meeting. Now, as grammarian, I noticed that Kathleen is the undisputed champ for tonight's meeting with regards to the usage of the word of the day, which is perspective. I think she used the word of the day no less than 7 times, 6 to 7 times at least. So fantastic. Other than that, with regards to the meeting as a whole, I believe that the word of the day was used more than once by many of us. So I think we deserve a clap for ourselves that, you know, we were able to do this despite the challenges, despite the fact that it's tough to stay focused on your role as well as use the word of the day. It's not an easy thing to do. However, a general area of improvement, perhaps, I think this goes for all of us. I think it's just about practice. I think at some points, many of us, I think when we were talking, we were thinking and we were using some fillers such as I know, or like we were repeating some words such as so, or I think, just here and there, just a little area of improvement. I think this can just be worked out ironed out just through practice. So it's no biggie at all. You know, just practice is just going to make perfect for all of us, including myself. So that was the grammarian's report. Now I'd like to hand control over to the journal evaluator for tonight's meeting. And the journal evaluator is, no, this time I know who it is, right? I'm switched on and I'll be your journal evaluator for this meeting. Now, what went right for this meeting? Excellent job on you just starting right on time. I think everyone, especially I thought Isaac, he was very focused on the time and he let us know, he made us aware of the fact that we are perhaps nearing the starting time or when the break time is going to start. So great job on that. Another thing which impressed me about this club, about Leaders Worldwide, is that I find a very patient, I find a very warm, and I find a very cooperative side to all of you. I think this is a great skill to have. And what that did, I think that not only allowed the guests to feel warm, or feel welcome, rather, I would also say that it also allowed this meeting to go very seamlessly and smoothly, despite certain challenges which can pop up. And I think you were very, I would say, switched on in terms of adapting to the changing circumstances of the meeting, or if something has changed. So I would say a fantastic, a fabulous job, considering the fact that there's also other speakers. There's another breakout room. And to manage all of these things together requires a calm and patient mind. So good work. I'm quite impressed by that. Having said so, there are a few areas of improvement, I feel, as with all meetings across the globe. And with this meeting, I felt that maybe at certain points, the mute button was perhaps not being utilized by all of us at some points. Some points, I think it's all right. It happens to all of us. It can happen. I mean, this thing called the mute button, I faced so much trouble. You know, the phone kept flipping. You know, I was just trying to click it here, it got vertical, and then again, it got horizontal. So that can happen. That's just a little thing. Another thing that can perhaps have been worked on a bit more is the fact that I understand there are challenges, and as the serving President Talha, he said that there are different time zones. I mean, this is great that you have different time zones for your meeting and you never stop. That is great. However, at the same time, at certain points, maybe you can have contingencies. And I know that can be a challenge considering the members, but since Toastmasters is a global platform, being an admin of a globally, I wouldn't say recognized yet. It's not globally recognized yet, but it's a global messenger group, or there are tons of ways you can reach out, perhaps. Maybe the official Toastmasters International group, so that you can call in members from different parts of the globe. We already have members here. I believe someone is from Barbados, and there's someone from Slovenia. So you're already doing a fantastic job reaching out to members. Just build upon it a bit more, and I think you're just gonna get there. Other than that, if I am talking about the individual role takers, I'll start off with the Toastmaster today, Isaac again. I think what Isaac did was that he was a champ at multitasking today. Okay, he was focusing on the agenda. He was focusing on what's coming next. He's focusing on the changes, the possible contingencies. Kathleen, I think you did a really nice job as Table Topics Master. I think you brought in quite an amiable side to yourself, which allowed the guests to come in because it's not easy to speak impromptu. So you did well on that. The timer, I think Mario did a fabulous job in terms of just adapting to the situation and just being right on the money and very crisp with the timing changes. I was noticing the background changing. So all in all, I think this meeting is a resounding success because you did yourselves proud, because things are not always going to go according to plan, but maybe that is the way to go because that allows us new perspective and a new way to grow. So with that being said, I'd like to hand it over back to our Toastmaster of the day, Isaac.
Great, thank you for that. And I really appreciate everybody stepping up in this meeting today. Kathleen, the timer Mario, yourself, Martaza, Tala, and I loved all the input from the guests. So I appreciate it. And at this point, I'm going to throw it at the last minute to our fabulous president, Tala bin Hamid.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. And we are bringing this meeting shortly to a close, far ahead of our usual time. But taking advantage, I would say, being president, maybe it's an unfair or a fair advantage, but I'll take the stage to share a few things, especially with our brother Murtaza, our journal evaluator. First of all, absolutely fantastic job with journal evaluation. It seemed as if you have been part of the club forever and ever. And what you see today, first of all, thanks for making me feel bad for doing only one role. Everybody else did multiple roles. So Kathleen, feel free to throw any roles my way next time. And what you saw today was actually not representative of what a usual Leaders Worldwide meeting is, because some of us are in a breakout room. And this is also a contest season in District 57 and other districts as well. So at this time of the year, you must be aware that the attendance dwindles up and down a bit. Usually we have far more people and we struggle to close in time. And there's a whole chatter of people going on. But thank you for your advice, because as a club leader myself, not only of this club, but my home club too, I know that there are ups and downs in terms of meeting attendance and meeting population. But as long as we have people who step up to the plate, we don't need to worry. And you gave a very good idea about posting on the Facebook international group. What we usually do is we reach out through the WhatsApp groups rather than the Facebook group, and we have wonderful guest role players exactly like you. And one more thing that I wanted to add, and getting inspired from what Isaac shared about the contribution of Blacks and Black History Month. There was one thing that inspired me a lot, and it really brought me to tears. And even today, if I see that movie, it brings me to tears, and that is Hidden Figures. Hidden Figures, a 2016 film about the contribution of 3 women within NASA, the 1950s and 60s NASA, by the way, not today's NASA, how they fought being females and being Black, and contributed to the flight of the orbital flight of an astronaut, because America was in a space race, and at that point it was trailing behind Russia, because Russia had already sent their people into orbit, and it was a mad scramble. And this lady, I think her name was, yeah, Dorothy Vaughan. She was the main uh, main person who calculated the orbits, and she did it so fast. And remember, they didn't have computers back then. In fact, there were computers, and that's the funniest part. There were computers, but did you know that back then humans were called computers? It was their job to draw up the orbits and make all the calculations and incorporate all the changes that came. And there were like rooms full of computers, and mostly I think they were all women. In fact, that's what they showed in the movie. I don't know whether it was true or not, but they were all women because uh, they were found to be very good at that quick calculation and changing them. And this lady actually came up with the orbital calculation that actually made this spacecraft work. And he faced the worst kind of discrimination, gender discrimination, and racial discrimination. And I know the movie is a feel-good version of what actually happened. It is designed to make people like me teary-eyed and filled with hope and optimism. There's no harm in that, fictionalizing history a little bit. But if you really want to find out what happened, read the book rather than the movie. Hidden Figures. It was published in 2016, and it is written by Margot Lee Shetterly. So either read the book or the movie. It is, in either case, a crowning and endearing and flawless, or not flawless, but epic evidence of the contribution of three Black ladies at a place that you would not even think possible. Before watching the movie, I didn't even know that NASA actually employed Black people back then. And there's also another track where another lady fights through discrimination to be admitted to an engineering college, because once again, being a woman and being a Black, it was thought that the university rejected her, and she went to court and sued and won. So it is an absolutely fantastic book or movie. Everybody is urged to check it out. So I also want to thank Toastmaster Kathleen for her speech. It was really thought-provoking, and I believe I speak for everyone when I say that it really, really took us to another place. And I would like to add that I am very passionate about this subject of sustainability and environment. And I've arrived on the depressing conclusion that literally everything we do is actually contributing to the problem. We'll need to rethink the way we exist. And I read a theory somewhere that, and it really struck a chord with me, that every other species on this planet lives like it belongs on the planet. It came from this planet, but humans live like aliens. Have you ever seen a cat wearing warm clothes in winter? We wear warm clothes in winter. Have you ever seen any other animal destroy the environment they live in? We do that, right? And we act as if we are here temporarily. We are here as colonists. We will come, we will destroy, and we will leave. But the breaking news is that there is no planet B. No matter what NASA says, that we found this number of planets, which might be very similar to Earth. Hello, they are like light years away, and you even can't get into orbit currently. Breaking news is that International Space Station is not in space. It is in upper orbit, upper atmosphere. So we have drastically limited capabilities of space travel, whether we like to admit it or not. And even if there were like 1,000 planets in other galaxies that were like Earth, we would never reach them. Because have you witnessed what it took NASA to send a space capsule full of mannequins into space? Can you believe? Can you even see human space travel in the near future? At least I can't. The way that mission failed 3 times, and then it was sent and it came back. They're testing whether to send humans right now, 50 years after they actually sent humans. So something tells me that something either scientifically or financially does not make sense right now in the current recession, and we don't have a planet B. So we should live that way. We don't have a planet B. We've only this planet. So with that, I'll invite our honored guests for their feedback. First of all, our timer, Super Mario. What are you taking away from this meeting?
Notes.
Sorry.
It's all
Can you
here.
repeat the question
And
you're asking me?
then after the end of the contest, I can
Hello?
take it to the area contest, or I can take it to.
Oh,
Hello, can you hear me?
yeah. We can hear you.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah. What are you taking away from the meeting?
Well, a lot of information about the Black people and their influence on history, on human society, and their importance in. I consider it like a lot of new information about impactful Black people, men and women, that changed the course of history in some way, form or fashion in the U.S. and the world. So it was. How do I put it? This like a lot of new trivia, and might just inspire a few articles that I can write, like on Wikipedia, maybe. Maybe. Overall, a very thematically oriented and a bit of a makeshift role distribution, last minute meeting, but I like the environment, I like the atmosphere, and looking forward to seeing you guys next time.
Thank you so much. So are we. Thank you so much for your feedback. Guest Ryan Roper, your feedback, please.
Thank you very much, President. Yeah, I think it was very good. I especially, similar to the last speaker, I enjoyed Toastmaster Kathleen. Very good input and very factual. I think I am quite certain that I want to be a part of this club, and so wanted to talk to either Kathleen or yourself or Cynthia to just get that official. But also, I wasn't sure in the beginning how to go to the TED breakout room, which is what I was expected to do today. So I wasn't sure how that was miscommunicated, or how I didn't understand how to do that.
All right. First of all, welcome to the club. And secondly, you can reach out to either Kathleen or Cynthia, and or even our Sergeant at Arms, Isaac Ford. And I believe you'll get clear instructions. And even if you had pointed out when the meeting is started that we wanted to be in the breakout room, I believe we could have been sent to the breakout room. But again, it was our game because we got to have you in the main room. Thank you so much for your presence and contribution. Next, we have guest Sonia. Guest Sonia, your comments, please.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and just participate. I would kind of co-sign what our last person said. I'm interested what was going on in the other rooms when we were split. And I understand they're working on their TED Talks and things like that. So you kind of salivate our interest and we try to know what's happening. But other than that, what happened in this room was just as impactful. And I appreciate the opportunity for you allowing guests. And I think as a lot of us as guests participate, that's rare sometimes in Toastmasters, but this club is always welcoming of guests. And I truly appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate having you with us. And finally, it must be 4 or 4:30 a.m. Guest Nguyen, your comments, please. And how are you awake? Please explain.
Still awake. I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning today.
Wow.
Okay, so basically, I'm so proud because I was given a chance to speak for the impromptu speech. Okay, so I appreciate everything that I've learned from you, the tips, the evaluation, the speakers, and also most of all, I've learned how the Toastmasters meeting works. Yeah, and tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock, I will be joining another Toastmasters Club meeting that is with the Auckland Club. Okay, so basically, I'm proud of myself. Okay, so
You should
thank
be.
you. Okay, back to you.
You should be. You should be. Thank you so much. And you know, the best kind of people are who participate in Toastmasters meeting without having being assigned a role or a speech. And here's a pro tip. If you want, if you're building a team, since I'm heading the TLI and the district leadership committee in my district, when you are if and when you are building a team as a district leader or an area leader or division leader, look for people who drop in on meetings without any reason, because those are the most dedicated Toastmasters and they will contribute the most. And you are certainly one of them, Toastmaster learning. So I believe that is pretty much it. We have taken comments from all the guests and we can call the meeting to a close. Is that right, Kathleen? Or do you have something for us? Oh, you do.
Only to say how happy I am to meet you and see you again, guests. And I want to thank our backbone, our benign presence always, Isaac Ford. He holds the tent pole up for us in so many ways. I'm very grateful to you, Isaac. And I could say that about Talha as well, but I am very grateful always to Isaac. And with that, I know every one of us has important ways to use our time. So thank you, Taze. Taze, are you available to say hello before we say goodbye?
You are muted, Taze.
Yes, hi everyone. Actually, I was in the other room and I accidentally came out of Zoom unintentionally and I came back in.
Do you want to pop into that room? Perhaps we could let you pop back in before we close this meeting. Oh, I think that if the meeting, if the main room closes, the breakout closes. Is that correct, Isaac?
That is correct. So we would actually end up staying here with just a blank screen if everybody left. So please don't leave.
Well, tell you what, girlfriend, I've got things to do. I don't know about you, but I'm going to leave a blank screen.
So is the other group coming back into this group or it's separate?
Yes, yes, no, they will
Mario.
return.
Mario.
So do I stay?
No, Taze finished, then I'll ask.
No, do I stay here or do I go back into, or should you put me back with them?
I think you want to go back with them, don't you?
They're going to be closing out in a few minutes.
Right.
So, well, actually, Kellen, can you tell us your experience in the breakout room, Taze?
Oh, well, the breakout room, two of the speakers, Cynthia and DeMarie, they repeated what I heard last week. And I said to them, I think that's a good idea. That's because that's how you get better at a specific thing. If you go to the gym, if you just go to the gym and do a total body workout once a week, we'll get X results. If we do it 3 times a week, we'll get Y results. And if we do it 5 days a week, we'll get Z results. So if in the TEDx section, the TEDx group, if the speakers continue doing that same speech over and over and over and over and over, but focusing on different aspects, it will only cause them to grow and be better. So I think it's a good idea to keep repeating the same speech. Where I'm from, we tend to gravitate to doing totally different speeches at every meeting. But if we do the same one over and over, that will contribute to great progress. So that was my comments. That is my comment for what I observed in the TED group today.
Great. I think Mario, you had something to say?
Do you guys have a guest book? I posted it in the chat, but I guess nobody picked it up. Do you guys have like a list of a guest book, like,
that you, yeah.
I think we do, but I don't pay attention to it. That's not my purview. And it certainly should be exercised, shouldn't it, Mario?
I mean, gives more detailed feedback, like guests who are willing or have the time to share a bit more about the overall experience of the meeting, about themselves. Depends what questions you have in the Google spreadsheets, of course.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Very important.
I mean, depends on the club. Some clubs don't even have that. So it depends. I'm just asking whether you even have one. Do you practice or, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well,
You have muted yourself, Catherine.
You just muted yourself by accident.
and that's because I have work to do and I want to get to it. So I'm going to thank you for coming. Thank you for letting me meet you. And I am going to leave the meeting. Or you can leave the meeting and I will keep my video connection, my Zoom connection on until the breakout room is finished.
You can appoint someone. You can appoint someone else. You can appoint someone else, like Isaac.
Yes, yes. I'll keep the room open.
Okay.
Yeah, just appoint someone as the meeting manager, and you'll be good to go.
All
He'll
right.
take over. You can kill, and he'll just be, as long as he's a bit, as long as he's all online, the breaking room is intact.
So
yes.
So
yes,
do I wait for the guys in the breakout room to return here, or
yes.
do I?
Yes, they should be returning because I think you've heard all the speeches.
Yeah, but I got disconnected accidentally. I was multitasking on my phone, and
let's see if I can add you.
Would it be possible for you to add me as well, if that's okay?
Okay.
Hey,
yeah.
Ryan.
Let's see if I can.
Isaac, have request permission to take over the meeting from Kathleen, and she should be good to go.
Yes, I got it. Thank you, Mario.
You're welcome. All right.
And yeah, Kathleen, if you could send them to the breakout room, but I believe it is going to be closing, but let me see.
Here, I'll do it right now.
Okay.
Room.
Okay.
Okay. So, Taze, did you see that?
And Ryan, I believe, wanted to go.
Yeah. Ryan, did you see that? Okay. All right.
Okay.
Happy to see you. Till next time.
Okay, Kathleen, thank you for filling in and doing all that you do.
It's been fun to be with you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine.
And
okay. Catch you later.
Yeah, I like the way, Tali, you just kind of stepped in and kind of gave some insight as to the meeting. And since it's just us few, I would like to say that for me, during the Black History Month, I've actually learned a lot through some documentaries that I've seen. And one of the latest ones, are you guys all familiar with Dionne Warwick?
The singer, yeah.
Yes.
The songwriter, the singer.
Yeah, yeah. And she's got a documentary out that really tells about her life and some of the stuff that she went through. But the one thing that stood out to me is that she called a meeting with all the rappers, Snoop Dogg, Suge Knight, Tupac. She was upset with them using the B word in their song. So she called a meeting for all of them to show up, and she gave them a lecture on that. And although it didn't stick, but Snoop Dogg, after he left that, his next album, he didn't use the B word. So I thought that was interesting about Dionne Warwick, because she was like a real warrior when it comes to civil rights. And I didn't really realize that until I saw that documentary. And then I guess another documentary, well, actually, this was a movie about the, well, he became a doctor, and his name is Vivian Thomas. I don't know if any of you have heard of him, probably not. But he was one of the first people to do open heart surgery. And it was with him and Dr. Blaylock. And they invented this procedure called the blue baby, which is where when babies are born, their lungs don't develop. And as a result, they start turning blue, and they're not expected to live much longer than maybe a year. And so he came up with that procedure. And the thing that really is upsetting is he couldn't get any credit for it. And Dr. Blaylock and some of the other doctors were also involved, but he was like invisible. But now his story came out in this movie called Something That the Lord Made. And if you get a chance, you should really watch that movie. I think it's entertaining, but it's also a bit of history that I didn't know about, and I'm sure maybe a lot of people didn't know about. So those are some of the documentaries that are really out there that I think, at least for me, I'm learning more about our history than I knew. So that's the one thing that I have to say. And I believe that the breakout room should be coming on soon, and they could give their input about what they've seen in this meeting and their perspective. So if you can, just hang in there for a few minutes. They will be rejoining us.
Right. Thanks for filling us up on that, Isaac. Appreciate that. Just this little tidbits of that's unique to your part of your culture and the experience. So
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So I was just wondering, just a question. I was curious as to what your 5 favorite Black athletes are of all time.
Well, I gotta say, Kareem.
Okay, in ascending order or descending order?
No, I'm just not in ascending order, but Kareem, Magic Johnson,
right,
and Bill Russell. And the reason that I put Bill Russell in there is I hadn't really thought about it, but he's got a documentary about his life and playing in Boston. And so he's on the top. He's one of the top. And of course, Kobe Bryant.
Right.
And I would say Michael Jordan are the most famous one that people know about. But the reason that I really put Kareem up there is because he's an educator as well as a ball player. I mean, the stuff that he's done, he's got a few books out that he's written about Black history. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Could you name me some of them? I was just curious. I know of the.
Yeah, well, you know what? Do you have I think it's Netflix or HBO, but he's got a documentary out about how he ended up playing basketball, and his whole story of with the Lakers. And it's very, like I said, he's got an interesting life. Actually, Magic Johnson also has they all have interesting lives. And that's the thing that I love about these documentaries, is because they talk about things that you never heard about, because this is their story. So
Right.
yeah, so
But I think the States is doing pretty well in, I think, what you call soccer. I think we call it football. So I think Slovenia, I think, is where Mario is from, right? I think, and I think there's the Slovenian keeper. His name is Jan Oblak, right? He plays football for Atletico Madrid in Spain. He's a goalkeeper, I think.
I don't follow. I only follow.
So
I don't follow football, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, I think so.
So I think you do a lot of skiing in Slovenia. Skiing is in like snow, in the mountains. I think you do that quite a bit. And Luyan, did I get your name correct? I've been to Malaysia. I think it was 5 years back. You know, I visited a Toastmasters club as well. What would you know? So.
Oh.
Right.
I don't know any members Toastmasters club in Malaysia, because I connected with Cynthia. Yeah. And I don't know, I have no idea about Toastmasters before.
I see. I see.
Yeah, this is new to me, really.
Okay. I know if you're like one of the PR managers, I think they're responsible for branding the club and, you know, letting people know about the club. And that's district is like a connection of compilation of many clubs. I know Kozi Amar, he's from Malaysia. We know each other for more than 5 years. He was district PR manager. So if you're interested, or whatever, if you wanted to visit a club in Malaysia, you can just, perhaps you could be in touch. Just laying it out there. So yeah, Isaac, you were saying, yeah, that's really cool. The fact that, you know, he has books out. I mean, Kareem, I know of him. He goes pretty way. I think he was more famous in the 70s, right? I believe he played for the Lakers. Yeah.
Yeah, him and Magic Johnson were the Showtime group.
Right. I had a few friends who were like really into basketball, the tall ones and stuff. So they were really into, you know, basketball, the American basketball, and the LA Lakers and all that.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of like Mario. I'm really not a sports fan, but once the playoffs start, that's when I become a fan. So I'm like a playoff fan. I don't really follow them, but I'm always interested once they get to the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
To add a little bit, in my defense, I only follow tennis, and that's the only sport I've ever really been focused on. So,
who's your favorite tennis player of all time?
Martina Navratilova, Czech player.
Yeah. I think he was in the 80s, right? 80s.
70s, 80s, 90s, and then she had a comeback in the early 2000s. She played until she was 50, so her overall records are off the charts. Well, that's just from my purview, but yeah.
Right. If she played over 50, yeah, her record should be like quite extraordinary. So I think in Slovenia, I have actually visited the Slovenian club quite a number of times in Ljubljana.
Correct. This is where I'm located right now. I'm in the capital. Yes, Ljubljana is the capital. For those who do not know, like smack in the center of the country.
Nice.
LJUBLJANA. I can type in if somebody's interested.
Great.
Yeah, I think Ljubljana, it's spelled LJUBIANA. Ljubljana, I think.
Yeah, typed it in the chat.
Nice.
Just pronounce J as Y, and you'll get the pronunciation right.
Right.
Imagine J is Y, and then it's much easier.
It's like a bit like the Dutch and German pronunciation, a bit like that, the way they pronounce
Slavic.
the words. Slavic. Okay.
Yes.
So you
Slavic,
pronounce
like,
J as Y in your language.
yeah, it's
Okay.
L, L, L and J is L. So it's like, yeah, Ljubljana.
Ljubljana.
Can't think of a comparison in English. Yeah.
Right.
Like really, but really. And that's L is like LJ. Like Lyudmila, like a Russian name, Lyudmila.
Right.
For example.
The meeting is being recorded now.
Yeah, no, it's still recording.
Speakers are back.
Yeah, no. So it looks like the breakout room has rejoined our meeting.
Yeah, great session.
Great. And I guess
and Nadine and I are on to speak in an hour. We just got invited to speak at Taze's club. So thank you so much, Taze.
so. I guess at this point, Cynthia, could you take over for takeaways? Because it looked like we're almost at the end of this meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Who would like to share a takeaway? And I have my world famous virtual chocolates to give away.
So can I share a takeaway about the breakout room?
Yes.
Yes.
This is my second participation in the breakout room, and it has proven to be a phenomenal learning experience. It has, for me, met the goals that I've set for myself, and I'm just looking forward to the next breakout room.
Awesome. Awesome. Would you like some chocolate to go with that breakout room takeaway?
No, but if you've got some grapes or a banana, I'll take that, okay?
Oh, grapes, a little fruit salad for you. Here you go. 1, 2, 3. Great. Anyone else want to share? Lynn, you're unmuted. Did you want to share?
I have to say the breakout room was pretty fantastic. It was nice to all talk and give each other feedback and not be so structured that if you weren't an evaluator, just be quiet. So it was just very interactive and fun and interesting and supportive. So highlight of the meeting.
That's
no chocolate, thanks.
No chocolate? How about a tasty dessert of fruit?
No, just send some love, honey. Just send some love.
From my heart to yours. Anyone else want to share? Thank you to all of our guests, Ryan and Taze. We really appreciate you coming. And Mario, who was our timer too. Wonderful. Oh, better take a picture of this. I haven't had a picture yet of Ryan. So let me quickly take that picture.
Take a screenshot instead.
Yeah, can you take a screenshot, please, Isaac? Because I can't take it on Sally's phone. But I took a
Let me see.
I just took one.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
Did you take one?
Smile. Smile and look at the camera.
And if you could send that to me, I appreciate it.
I will do that.
Okay. Awesome. Well, without further ado, have a wonderful afternoon, evening, whatever time it is in the world for you. And we'll see you next week. We're going to be in the evening time, March 6th at 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time. So wherever you are in the world, that was your time. And we have a lot of people joining us from Asia, where it's the morning time. Great. So wonderful to have you at Leaders Worldwide. And we are really leaders worldwide. Yes.
Cynthia, just remember to add me to that chat, okay? And resend the. I'm just asking you to remember to add me to the chat and resend the invitation to speak.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.